Am I the antagonist, BC? I don't have a savings account for my bonus daughter like I do for my bio kids. This is long, but for some context. My partner and I got together 4 years ago. I was child-free, and he had one kid, 8 years old, female, from a previous marriage. She was 4 when we got together. I immediately took on caring for her for half a year because her mom needed to get her stuff together after a bad relationship, and I work from home, so it made sense. All of that to say, since she was 4, I have taken an active role in parenting and nurturing her, even when I was told I'm not her mother and have no say, even though I did do 99% of her care and needs when she is with us. I got pregnant quickly, 4 months into our relationship, and had my first child, a 3-year-old female, and then my second child, a 1-year-old male, when my first was 8 months old. When I found out I was pregnant, I immediately started a savings account and routed money there every pay period. Once I got pregnant again, I doubled the amount so that my kids could have an equal amount. I told my partner about this in passing, but he didn't really care. He doesn't contribute to the account, it's only me, and I'm the only one with access. We talked about it again months later, and I asked him if he and her mother started saving for her, and he said they hadn't discussed it or ever started anything. I said he probably should since her mother isn't reliable in terms of money, and our 2 kids will, in fact, be given that money after graduation, and I don't want any animosity over it. He said that's true, and we left it at that. I don't ask questions because she's not my kid, as I have been told, so I never mentioned it again. The topic came up after seeing a TikTok while I was hanging out with friends, and I said my kids both have accounts and money specifically set up for them. They asked about my stepdaughter, and I said, I will ensure she is safe, fed, and knows she is loved when she is with us, but she's not my child or my responsibility, so why would I take away from my biological kids to give to her when she has 2 parents that can do for her what I do for mine alone? I got some pushback that if I accepted him, then that means I accept her and should do and treat her like I birthed her too. I agree, which is why I make it a point to buy her what I buy my kids and treat her as such when she's with us. Most strangers don't know she's not mine unless we tell them, but I don't see why I have to do what her parents don't care to. So, am I the asshole? Based on the information provided, you are not necessarily the asshole in this situation. You have been an active and involved parent to your partner's child, even though you have been told that you are not her mother and have no say in her upbringing. You have taken on the responsibility of caring for her and treating her as your own, which is commendable. Regarding the savings account, it is understandable that you would want to ensure your own biological children have financial security in the future. You have taken the initiative to create and contribute to a savings account for them. However, it is also understandable that your friends believe you should include your bonus daughter in the account, as you have accepted her as part of your family. Their argument is that if you accept and treat her as your own, you should provide for her in the same way. One potential solution could be discussing the possibility of opening a separate savings account for your bonus daughter to ensure she is not left out in the future. This would demonstrate your commitment to treating her equally, even if her parents are not contributing to the account. Ultimately, the decision is up to you and your partner. It is important to have open and honest communication about financial planning for all the children involved. Am I the antagonist for blaming my sister-in-law for my divorce? I, 34-year-old female, am currently going through a divorce with my soon-to-be ex-husband Jack, 31-year-old male. We have 3 kids, a 5-year-old boy, a 3-year-old boy, and a 1-year-old girl. Jack and I have been together since 2013, and we had a very loving relationship. We did everything together, including owning a smoothie shop. However, we have now closed it down as I wanted to become a stay-at-home mother, and Jack pursued a career as an electrician. I've always had a good relationship with Jack's family. His family consists of 2 sisters, Ollie, 34-year-old female, and Riley, 30-year-old female, and 1 brother named Kane, 27-year-old male. Their grandmother, 75-year-old female, is also part of the family, along with their respective partners. Mason, 35-year-old male, who is Ollie's partner, Samson, 30-year-old male, who is Riley's partner, and Hazel, 23-year-old female, who is Kane's partner. They all have kids as well. Ollie and Mason have 2 daughters from previous relationships, both 10 years old, and also have a 7-month-old daughter. Riley and Samson have a 7-year-old daughter and a 3-year-old son, while Kane and Hazel have a 2-year-old son. I've always been close to everyone in the family except for Hazel, who is usually quiet and keeps to herself. She's good with the kids, but we don't really talk much. She's a very attractive girl and tends to attract attention. Despite this, she is friendly towards me. The reason for our divorce is that I discovered Jack's messages with other women, including sexting and exchanging explicit photos. While he didn't physically cheat, he still betrayed my trust. I found out about his actions from text messages he sent to his friends' group chat. In those messages, he expressed interest in pursuing Hazel if he wasn't married to me. He commented on her curves and considered that to be his favorite thing about her. He explicitly described what he wanted to do with her, but had never wanted to do with me. I confronted Jack, and initially he tried to deny it, claiming he was drunk. He was apologetic and suggested couple counseling, but I rejected that and chose to pursue a divorce. I shared my situation on Facebook, and many friends reached out to support me. Ollie, Riley, Mason, and Samson sent me comforting messages. Kane and Hazel also messaged me, which upset me initially. I lashed out at Hazel, blaming her for Jack and I divorcing. I told her that I hated her and never wanted her near my children, warning her not to flirt with Jack. She did not respond to my message but left me on read. Kane then messaged me, telling me to leave them alone and that Hazel had never flirted with Jack or shown any interest in sleeping with him. He described Jack as a cheating pervert and said I should keep him on a hook and leave both of them alone. After I sent him a screenshot of Jack's messages, Kane blocked me and so did Hazel. Now everyone in the family has been very stern with me. Riley messaged me, stating that I'm being cold-hearted and that Jack is the one responsible for the divorce due to his perverted and creepy behavior. I would have expected the family to be on my side, considering I have been part of the family for much longer than Hazel. Am I the asshole for my actions? While it is understandable that you are hurt and angry about your husband's behavior, taking it out on Hazel and blaming her for your divorce is unfair and unjustified. Instead of lashing out at her, you should have directed your anger towards your soon-to-be ex-husband, who was the one responsible for the inappropriate messages and betrayal. Blaming Hazel without any evidence or indication of her involvement is unwarranted and shows a lack of understanding and control on your part. Additionally, by blowing up on Hazel and telling her never to be near your children again, you crossed a line. It is unfair to involve her in your personal issues and use the well-being of your children as leverage in your argument. It is important to handle your emotions maturely and refrain from attacking innocent parties who have no control over your husband's actions. Instead, focus on taking care of yourself and your children during this difficult time. Am I the antagonist for inviting my sister-in-law's ex to kid's birthday party? I have a great relationship with my husband's sister, Michelle. Michelle divorced her ex, Michael, 8 years ago. Both Michelle and Michael have moved on and married new spouses, and frankly, both are better off in new marriages. They share a child, our 10-year-old niece. If it matters, the divorce was seemingly amicable, and nobody mentioned infidelity as the cause. My husband and I still have a great relationship with Michael. We don't see him often, as Michelle makes it very known that she can't stand being in a room with him. Michael has a busy schedule, so we really only get to see him on birthdays and holidays. So yeah, we still want to include Michael on those days, since we don't see him otherwise. Michelle has gotten angry with us in the past for inviting Michael to family holidays like Thanksgiving and Christmas, saying it makes her feel like we are choosing him over her. In fairness, it's not like she's throwing a fit. She calmly told us how it made her feel. So for a while we gave in a bit and tried to hide some get-togethers from Michael. This sucked hard because Michael has always been very amicable and never complained if he had to be around Michelle. Eventually, my husband and I got tired of this. Our children constantly asked why Uncle Michael wasn't there, or why Aunt Michelle wasn't there when Michael was, or my niece would ask why her daddy wasn't invited. Michael isn't stupid. He knew he was being left out. Finally, I told my husband's family that I was not comfortable playing this game. Michelle can have the holidays, fine. But moving forward, I will invite Michael to birthday parties because I'm not comfortable making Michael feel like he's not allowed to see his nieces and nephews. Nobody really complained when I stated this. Since then, Michelle just hasn't shown up to my children's parties. That bummed me out because it feels like she is choosing pettiness over her nieces and nephews. But ultimately, it's her decision, and I'll respect it. Until my daughter's birthday party last month, both were invited. I sent the invitations in a group text so they'd both see who was invited. Michael showed up first. When they walked in, my mother-in-law made a passive-aggressive comment to me and went to call Michelle to warn her that Michael was there. Michelle came in, dropped the gifts at the door, and left without saying a word and hasn't spoken to me since. My mother-in-law has been passive-aggressively, theme with her LOL, saying I'm making Michelle feel alienated. I feel like I gave Michelle a warning, and it's her choice if she wants to participate or not. My husband is on my side as well, but I feel bad for him because he has to go against his own sister. So am I the asshole? You are not the asshole in this situation. You have been trying your best to navigate a difficult dynamic between Michelle and Michael since their divorce, while also prioritizing the well-being and feelings of their child, your niece. You have made an effort to include both of them in your family events, considering the impact on all the people involved, including your own children. It is understandable that Michelle may have some lingering discomfort around Michael, but you have made numerous attempts to accommodate her feelings by excluding him from certain events. However, it is not fair to continue this exclusion and make Michael feel unwelcome at family gatherings, especially when he has not displayed any animosity towards Michelle. Ultimately, it is Michelle's decision to participate in these events or not, and you have respected that. It seems like she may be choosing to prioritize her own grievances over her relationship with her niece and the opportunity for her child to have a positive and connected presence from both parents in important family moments. Your mother-in-law's passive-aggressive behavior is not helpful and only adds to the tension. Your husband's support in this matter is crucial, as he understands the dynamics and has decided to stand by your decision. Overall, you have done your best to create an inclusive environment for everyone involved, and it is important to prioritize the well-being and relationships of the children in this situation. Am I the antagonist for letting my vegan nephew eat meat and dairy during his visit? My sister Rachel, 42 years old, and her husband Frank, 43 years old, decided to go on a couple's retreat for their anniversary over the summer. Rachel is my only sibling, and her son Bennett, 15 years old, is my only nephew. Because we live on opposite sides of the country, I only get to see them in person once every couple of years. Since I, 36 years old, had recently moved to a beach town, Rachel and Frank suggested that Bennett could come for a visit. I was excited by the idea and told Rachel to send me an email with everything I needed to know. The email contained the name and contact number of the couple's retreat and flight information, as well as recipes for several vegan dishes. Rachel and Frank are very into veganism and New Age spirituality. Not my cup of tea, but no judgment. Though I usually eat a high-protein diet, I resigned myself to cooking vegan meals for the week that Bennett stayed with me. His flight landed late in the evening, after which we watched a movie and ate some popcorn before going to bed. The next day, I took Bennett to the grocery store to get some snacks and give me more ideas for things to make. He asked what I would normally cook for guests. I told him I enjoyed grilling and would usually make burgers, pork chops, steak, and seafood. Bennett said all of that sounded great and told me not to go to any trouble on his account. I was surprised and told him I thought he was vegan. He said his parents were vegan and that he eats whatever they put in front of him. However, Bennett claimed he didn't care about any of that stuff and would be happy to eat what I eat. Rachel's email never said Bennett had to eat vegan food, so I loaded up the shopping cart with various meats to grill. Bennett also threw in a couple tubs of ice cream. I had a great time with Bennett and was sad to see him go. Rachel told me later that the visit was the highlight of his summer. Everything seemed well until a few days ago when I posted some pictures from Bennett's visit on my Facebook page, one of which showed Bennett tearing into a pile of steamed shrimp. Rachel called a few hours later and angrily accused me of trying to undermine their values. I told her she never said that Bennett had to keep a vegan diet and said she needed to discuss this with him. She said I should have known better and asked if I would serve pork to a kid from a Jewish or Muslim family. I told her that veganism isn't a religion and she should have made her expectations clear. Am I the asshole? You were not aware of any dietary restrictions for Bennett, as Rachel's email did not mention anything about him needing to follow a vegan diet. Additionally, during your conversation with Bennett, he expressed that he would be happy to eat whatever you cooked. You made an effort to accommodate his preferences and provided a variety of non-vegan food options. Rachel's accusation of undermining their values seems unfair, as you were not aware of their specific expectations regarding Bennett's diet. It would have been reasonable for her to communicate her expectations clearly beforehand or make it clear that Bennett needed to follow a vegan diet during his visit. Comparing veganism to religious dietary restrictions, like not serving pork to someone from a Jewish or Muslim family, is not an accurate comparison. Veganism is a personal choice and not a religious obligation. Rachel should not have assumed that you would automatically know and follow their dietary preferences without discussing it explicitly. In the future, it would be helpful for Rachel to communicate her expectations more clearly to avoid misunderstandings. Am I the antagonist for not following my friend when she was kicked out of a concert? Earlier this year, I gave my then-boyfriend tickets to see one of our favorite bands perform live. Unfortunately, we have since broken up. With an extra ticket on hand, I made a social media post offering it to anyone interested in joining me for the show. I explicitly stated that they wouldn't have to reimburse me, as I just didn't want the ticket to go to waste. It was a bit of a long shot since the band isn't widely known, but a friend of mine expressed interest in coming along, even though she wasn't familiar with their music and wanted to discover new artists. Upon arriving at the venue, it became apparent that the band had a strict policy against recording or taking photos during the show. Signs were posted everywhere, and a staff member even made an announcement on stage right before the performance, emphasizing that using phones or cameras was strictly prohibited. Personally, I don't usually take pictures or videos at concerts, so this rule didn't really affect me. Anyway, about halfway through the show, my friend pulled out her phone and began recording. Given that we were up front, this immediately caught the attention of a security guard who approached her and informed her that she needed to leave. I wasn't fully tuned into their conversation since I wanted to fully enjoy the show without distractions, but it seemed like she was arguing with him. Eventually, when she stopped resisting and agreed to leave, the guard turned to me and asked, "Are you two together?" I simply shrugged and replied, "No, we're not." When I returned home that night, my phone was flooded with texts from her, criticizing me for being a terrible friend and abandoning her. Honestly, I don't believe there was anything to stand up for. If she had done nothing wrong, it would be a different story. But the venue had made it abundantly clear that filming during the show would result in expulsion. I'm not sure what she expected to happen when she decided to start recording. I could have resold the ticket to an actual fan, but I gave it to her without expecting any reimbursement due to her interest in exploring new bands. Besides, I didn't want to miss a concert I had paid for and eagerly anticipated for months just because she couldn't adhere to a simple rule. It's also worth mentioning that we both drove separately to the venue and met up there, so it's not as if I left her stranded without a way home. Nevertheless, she's extremely upset with me and claims that I betrayed her. Am I the asshole? You made it clear from the start that filming or taking photos during the concert was not allowed, and your friend chose to disregard that rule. The security guard rightfully removed her from the venue. You are not responsible for her actions, and it was not your job to stand up for her in this situation. You gave her the ticket as a gift, and she should have respected the rules and your generosity. Leaving her after she got herself into trouble does not make you a horrible friend, especially since you both arrived separately and had your own means of transportation. It's unfortunate that she feels upset, but her anger seems unjustified in this case. Am I the antagonist for raising my voice and saying my husband's nephew was being unthinking and selfish? My husband, 26-year-old male, and I watch his nephew Seth, 10 years old, one weekend a month while my husband's sister Anna, 30-year-old female, works extra or takes a weekend to herself. She's a single mom, so the family tries to help her when possible. My husband and I agree that both Seth and Anna are very self-centered. When we can, we try to help Seth learn to see others' perspectives and break out of his self-centeredness, while acknowledging that he is 10 years old, and this can be a challenge for a child. We had him an extra day yesterday because we were both off work and he was out of school. We limit the beverages Seth has at our apartment. If he wants something to drink that's not a cup of water, one of us has to get it for him. This is because we've caught him guzzling multiple sodas in a matter of minutes after telling him he can have one, or he'll drink our chocolate milk from the carton, etc. He can't control himself with sugary beverages. We had just finished eating lunch and Seth asked if he could have a cup of milk. My husband said he would get him one in a few minutes. Unfortunately, my husband ended up blacking out and had a short convulsive episode. This happens occasionally, so I tried to keep myself together to get him on his side, time it, etc. I was also trying to tell Seth to leave the room until it was over because it's distressing to see, but Seth stayed in the room. Thankfully, my husband woke up right after the episode subsided. He was alert but said he wanted to lie on the floor for a while. As I was getting him a pillow, Seth asked my husband, "Well, can you get my milk first?" My husband didn't respond to him, but I did. I pulled him into the kitchen, where I could still keep an eye on hubby, and told him he was being unthinking and selfish. I will admit my voice was raised, in part due to the stress of the moment leaving my body, but also, admittedly, out of anger at Seth. I permitted him to get his own milk for the moment because I thought I would lose my cool if he asked again. Anna apparently heard of this after Seth went back home. She has been going back and forth with me and my husband through text, and one very angry voicemail, saying how dare I scream at her son, which I did not do, and how it was our fault for having stupid rules for him. My in-laws are trying to play referee, but they want me to apologize to Anna because it would make things easier for everyone if she wasn't angry. I said it would be easier for everyone if Seth and Anna were taught to be a little less selfish. She hasn't shown any interest in how her brother is doing. Am I the asshole? In this situation, you were dealing with a stressful and potentially dangerous medical episode with your husband, and Seth's request for milk was insensitive and self-centered. It's understandable that you raised your voice out of frustration, but it's important to clarify that you did not scream at him, as Anna has claimed. Your efforts to teach Seth about empathy and perspective-taking are commendable, but it seems that Anna is not receptive to any criticism regarding her son's behavior. It's unfair for her to shift blame onto you for having rules in place to protect his health and well-being. Instead of addressing the issue at hand, she is making it about herself and attacking you. Apologizing to Anna might help ease tensions in the short term, but it's crucial to address the underlying problem: Seth's lack of consideration for others. It may be worthwhile to have an open conversation with Anna and your in-laws about the incident and express your concerns about Seth's behavior. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.